Well, hello, everybody. This is another Peak Careers interview. Today, we're going to look at visioning your future. And I have the pleasure of having my good friend Sabrina Woods back again. She's a holistic career coach, LinkedIn trainer, and consultant. And Megan Piper is the principal of Piper Consulting, and she helps leaders clarify their vision and create traction through building a healthy company. So this year, I actually attended Sabrina's. She does this New Year's, it's in place of a New Year's resolution kind of day. It's a retreat, and I've always wanted to go. And this year I actually had a chance to do it. And then as a member of Maine Association of Training and Development, Megan did a little workshop that was had to do with this visioning. And I thought, well, this would be cool to have these two people together and really talk about the importance of this. And so we're going to explore, why is it important to take the time to envision the next 3 to 5 years as a person or a business, and then recommendations that we have for people. So Sabrina, again, a good friend of mine. She's got a bunch of years experience in career services at Harvard and Northeastern. Has also been 2 years as the president of the Career Counselors Consortium, or coming 3.
My third.
Yes, they're doing a great job down there. That's awesome. I mean, I love what CCC is doing. And Megan Piper is an entrepreneurial operating system implementer. I really just wanted to say that because I thought, yeah, it's
a mouthful. You can shorten it to EOS.
Okay, we can say EOS, but I like saying that. And the workshop that she did for us, it was a short version of a much longer workshop, obviously, was really helpful in me getting sort of looking to the future. And so I really wanted to have both of these folks here today to talk a little bit about this topic. So welcome, folks. So Megan, we're going to start with you. Why is it so important to take the time to envision the next 3 to 5 years, whether you're a person or a business?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having us, Jim. We're looking forward to this. I want to focus on a couple of the words in your question there, one of them being envision and the other 5 years, or whatever future state helps you to think about this. Because I think we can all get trapped in the day-to-day. And when we think from our current state to where we want to be, we see a lot of roadblocks and obstacles. So I really love your questions, like envisioning and almost take yourself to that future point. Because if I imagine myself 5 years from now or 10 years from now, and then I think, what does my life look like at that point? I allow myself to dream a little bit and to not see those obstacles. And then it's a lot easier to bring it down to the ground and figure, okay, what do I need to do today or in the next year to work towards that future? And I think that it's so important to do that, because if you haven't envisioned it, you're never going to get there. And I think some of us don't even take the time to figure out what we want it to look like. Think about your life like a plane taking off. You got to have a destination of some kind, and it's okay to have some fun and envision that destination. And then we'll talk more today about how to actually figure out the steps to get there.
That's awesome. I mean, it's so true. When you do look to the future like that, you're not thinking about all those obstacles. What's stopping you? It's sort of it feels free to sort of step right out there and say, what if, right? What if,
exactly,
could this look like, right? Awesome. Sabrina, your thoughts on that question?
I think one of the first things that popped into my head about this was that if we don't think about the question, we won't recognize it when a cool opportunity pops up. And the other piece is, it's so easy for us to just be so wrapped up in the day-to-day. I mean, how many of us have said, I've just got to get through today? It's so frequent because our lives are so packed. So if we're so busy executing within this moment or this week, we'll just stay on that trajectory, and we won't really think further on and think about, well, what do I need to take away and what do I want to add in? And I think that's the other part that was really important to me to bring up, is if we set our sights on that, 3 to 5 years is a hard one maybe, but even if you set yourself on, what do I want in a year? We're also going to be able to figure out what to say no to. And there's a lot of power in that piece. When I'm working with clients, so often I hear like, oh, I'm just overwhelmed. It's like, sometimes we have to take some things out to even have some bandwidth to think about what we want next.
Yeah. So I've been wanting to get in a book group for years, and now I got into two, the Career Counselors Consortium, and there's other private. It's a Facebook career practitioner group I'm in, and we're reading this book for Blue Collar Cash, and I just started it, but this guy is a blue collar worker who owns basically his own construction company. But years ago, and again, I haven't gotten very far into this, but years ago, when he first started this company, he had one of his employees was just like, oh, I don't know, I don't know how I'm going to pay all these medical bills and do this and, blah, blah, blah. And this guy sits down he sat down with that guy, and they envision the future. They did this thing, this action, and he does it with crayons, and he does it to this day. And this is a construction company. All his employees, they sit down with crayons and they draw the picture of where do they want to be? Where do they want to be in the future? And it's like, he's just saying, it's so powerful. And it's to your point, Sabrina, it's that if you can envision it, you'll know when the opportunity comes, right? If you're not visioning it, you're taking whatever opportunity comes around, and it's a total different feel and a total different way of doing it. And it's a little bit about putting it out to the universe, right? You're going to send that message out to the universe to say, this is what I want.
I like the phrase live by design or live by default. Which do you want?
Right. And the people who live by default often get frustrated, right? Because they may be doing stuff they can do or are good enough to do, but they're not really doing the stuff that feeds their soul, right?
I think those people that get a little bit stuck in the how do I envision this future and all these opportunities that we're talking about today, I think it can also give you a practical way to just have a decision filter. So it can also help you to say no to things. Like if I have 100 things coming at me today and I know this is where I want to be next year or in 5 years, that helps me to say no. And that's very empowering because I have a reason. And to take that next step of not just that destination, but also like, who am I? Like, what are my core values? What's my purpose in the world? Like all of these things align with that future that you want to build. And it helps you to have some guardrails as you make decisions in life.
Ooh, I like that phrase, guardrails.
Yeah.
Help you not fall off track. Help you stay the course. Still be open to changing your mind, but help you kind of keep going towards that end game or that bigger vision.
Yeah, and that it doesn't have to be set in stone. Like it can be course corrected and tweaked, and you're almost prototyping your life towards this future.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was the other book that we read in the Career Consortium, wasn't it? The Careers by Design, I think, is the book that we read. It's the same idea. Go out there and prototype.
Design your life.
Yeah, and you got a plan, but try stuff, right? But then be willing to shift a little bit, and that's that in what I call intentional serendipity. Try stuff, do stuff, but be open to discovering things by accident, and be willing to go, whoa, that's a great opportunity, and it fits with what I want to do, right? I mean, and I think that's what we're talking about today is looking at opportunity, but making sure it fits what you really want to do, what's important to you, and where do you want to be in the future. 3 to 5, I picked 3 to 5 in my question just because, but I mean, Sabrina spends a lot of time at the retreat, really looking at just this year, but kind of beyond as well. But it's whatever that time frame is. I mean, it really requires some thinking ahead. So I'm going to shift to my next question, and then we'll have Sabrina start off and do a small activity. But what recommendations do you have for people who want to do this sort of visioning exercise or activity? And so, Sabrina.
At the beginning of this, I asked Jim, can I play a little bit? Because I love the experiential and I love excuses to use a little bit of mindfulness practice. So just in a few moments, I'm going to invite the two of you and anyone else listening to do 3 deep breaths with me. I'll guide you. And then I'll just ask you a question or two and we'll wrap up. It's a little mini session within our chat today. here's the invitation. It's to put both feet firmly on the ground. Just kind of notice where you are in your chair. Your feet, feel them. Maybe press one into the ground and then the other. It helps bring us from the brain and mind into the body. We're trying to access intuition and inner wisdom. So bringing our mind into noticing where we're sitting and where you're connected to the ground. And then 3 deep breaths will be a 4-count inhale, 4-count hold, and then a 4-count slow exhale. You game?
Yeah, let's do it.
Here we go. Deep breath in. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1, and slow exhale. Next breath in. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale. Last deep breath in. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale. And just take 1 or 2 more breaths at any pace you wish, inviting a sense of ease and continuing to follow that breath just for another moment. It's so good to take a tiny pause. And then I'll ask the question and just let you go with whatever pops up first. You can even jot down any words, the phrases that pop up as I say this question. The question is, can you imagine your best possible future self? What would that look like, feel like? Any elements that pop up for you when you think without limitations, what is your best possible future self? I'm going to be quiet for a moment. See what's there for you. You can be thinking about the talents you love to use. You can be thinking about results you love to get. Thinking what puts you in flow state. Thinking about what lights you up. Or what gives you a sense of purpose. And just take a moment to ease into that and jot down anything that comes to mind if you wish. It's just this little break. Might get one word popping up that might be useful. Might be a value or skill or word, like more balance. What do you think? Just take 10 more seconds. See what's there. I'll just put it back on Megan and Jim, just to, not even to tell us the content unless you want to, but what's it like just to take that mini break? And does it feel useful? It's just the process. And then I'll talk about some other ways to access this question that I think are valuable.
Yeah, I mean, there's something special about calming yourself before if you want to do that thinking, right? I mean, I think you've got to do those breaths. You got to, it's almost like you're taking a curtain and you're getting rid of all the sort of the disorder of the day and the details of the day when you do that kind of activity. It slows down And it just gives you the space to think about, you know.
Yeah, that was the word I wrote down, Jim, was space, because I think I don't always give myself that gift. And then as soon as I do an exercise like that, which I'm trying to just give myself that space to breathe a few times a day, you realize you're not breathing the rest of the time. Like how much tension you're holding that is just your default state is or for me anyways, it's a little bit of tension. And so it's a gift to give myself that space to just relax. And it takes so little time and it changes your mind.
But, you know, like Sabrina, you know, we both like to do walking meditation. I know that, you know, and I try to start every day with a walk before breakfast. And then I do a mid-afternoon, I do a meditation break where I listen to guided meditation and just close my eyes and just slow down. And it's not easy. I mean, I have stuff to do. I mean, I'm like, oh no, I can't do this. I don't have time. I got to sit down and do this. But by doing it daily, by creating that routine, I also have trained myself to slow down, and it's made a huge difference for me.
Great. So anybody that's listening, even if you set a timer for 60 seconds and breathe for 60 seconds, and then ask yourself some of the questions that Megan and I and Jim are going to talk about, and all you do is set aside 20 minutes, that alone can give you a little tiny bit of insight.
Yeah.
I sat down earlier today and I just started to just do some writing, and instead of real concrete things that I want, I got some feelings about how I want to be, and some lifestyle related things about how I want my work to be. And it's just amazing how useful even a small amount of time can be. And the other thing, I'm going to talk about two more things real quick, then turn it over to Megan, but doing a values-based exercise can also be extremely helpful. You can go online and you can just look for a values exercise or a bunch of values words. And if you just pick out from a list, maybe you can find a list of 60 values words and you find, what are my top 3? And then you can say, how can those values come to life for me in the future? What is it that is missing? Or what do I want more of? And if we have the values as a base, it might be able to give you some springboard off from there. And the other thing I was going to say is what I did the other day is I sat down and I brainstormed and I put things on colored paper. And I did this on more than one occasion on what do I want in my work and in my life. And by having them on different pieces of paper, it gave me this freedom to kind of then sort them. So if it helps you to brainstorm and use note cards, you might do that. And then having them all spread out helped me kind of see this vision, and also helped me get rid of some things like, well, that's not really that important. And again, I've done it on a couple of different occasions so that I have quite a collection now. And these aren't the actual ones. I forgot to grab them before I sat down, but there's a big pile, and I'll continue to look over them and add to them as my way of sorting through what's important, generating lots of ideas, but then getting rid of some that I don't think are important for my future. So
I love the kinesthetic piece to that too, where you're writing stuff down. I mean, I think it's people will, oh, I'll just type it up. I'll type it up on the computer. It's not the same as when you put it on paper. It just isn't. And then I love the ability to sort it, right? I mean, that's a great idea. Megan, some thoughts on recommendations for these career service providers when they're working with people, and when they're looking at expanding their business, when they're looking to the future? What kind of recommendations do you have?
Yeah, I'm going to take a little bit different angle than we've talked about yet, because I work with small business leadership teams, and I'm an incredibly practical person. So usually I have 5 or 6 leaders in front of me, and half of them love the stuff we just did. Like, they're big ideas people, they love to think about the future. But then the other half of the team sitting there looking at me and rolling their eyes thinking, like, how are we going to get this done? So you have to have a very practical way to actually execute. I think years ago, Thomas Edison once wisely said, vision without execution is hallucination. So
oh my God.
That's a good one. That one stuck with me for a lot of years. So if you're thinking about 5 years from now, okay, what do we do today? So as human beings, we can't think in 5-year chunks and we can't execute in 5-year chunks. So to Jim and Sabrina's point earlier, it's easier to focus on a little bit shorter period. Like think about, allow yourself to dream about that long term, and then maybe choose what do I want to do in the next 90 days or the next year, and keep it really practical and a short list. So we say a lot in EOS that I teach to teams, less is more. So choose 3 to 7 things that you want to get done, not 37, because if you choose 37, you won't get any of them done. Whereas if you keep it 3, I see a lot of teams successfully execute on 3 goals every quarter. So that feels very practicable and tangible, and make it something you can measure. So you can be like, I got it done or I didn't get it done, and give yourself the opportunity to celebrate. I've been reading the book Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. It's fantastic. And I love how he talks about, if you're looking to floss your teeth, start by just flossing 1 tooth every night and set yourself up for success. Like put your floss right next to your toothbrush and then just floss that 1 tooth. Don't go say, well, that was too easy, I should go do all of them. No, just do the 1 and then celebrate. And then the next night do 2. And so like everybody can do that. We can all figure out like, what is that equivalent in our lives or our business? And it helps you to feel more successful as you go. And the last practical tip I would give is get an accountability partner or your leadership team, whoever's around you that will help you feel like you have a friend on that journey that will have those tough conversations with you when needed and help to celebrate those wins, because being with somebody else on that journey makes all the difference towards success.
Yeah. So my phrase is less is best. I saw it's the same. Less is more, less is best. You're right. Too often people have so many things that then they're frustrated, right? And then it's a negative feeling when you pick 3, do 3, break it down, get it done. It's sort of like my daily list is I always have 3 things to do. That's it. I don't put more than I can. If I get through them, fine, I'll move on to more. But my brain, I start with 3 and I number them 1, 2, and 3 and say, do 1, get it done, move on to 2, get it done. If you can get to 3, great. But I think we have this false sense that we can get many things done in a time frame, whether it's a daily or the 90 days. I love your idea of breaking it into smaller pieces in those 90 days. That 90-day format is kind of a good model because it gives you something where you can get stuff done, but it's not so far out. Like my 3 to 5 years is so far out, and sometimes that you don't feel like you can get it done.
Yeah.
It's not real. Awesome. Other thoughts or comments on as you're working with people or thinking about sort of my audience, the career service providers, how important is it? Any other thoughts you have on this sort of envisioning your future? I mean, I'm sure you guys do whole day workshops on this, but
yeah, I think just to be kind to yourself. I have an EOS peer who always says we win or we learn. So sometimes you're not going to hit those goals. Just you either won and you got it done and you succeeded, or you learn from it, and that's still a win. So sometimes we're not kind enough to ourselves in setting and achieving these goals and recognizing this and celebrating the wins.
And I'm just going to reinforce that, sharing it with others. So voicing things out loud, having an accountability partner, writing it down, like these things, make it real, bring it to life. The more you can bring it to life, or draw a picture so you see the picture. So it's like the more you can bring it to life, the more it can become, is my other thought with this process. So come at it from multiple perspectives, setting that vision.
And I can't overemphasize the fact that you do need to slow down. In order to move forward, you need to slow down. And it's why I try to do a monthly retreat where I turn off my phone and I turn off social media for the whole day. And I go to a friend's office downtown Waterville and I write, I think, I plan, I look ahead 90 days. What am I going to be doing for the next 90 days? Take a walk, I do meditation, and it's the most productive day of my month. every single time I do it. And not everybody can take a full day and be tech free and be off the grid, but the power of even doing, if you could do 4 hours, if you could do 2 hours, I mean, it's like, well, we don't have time. Well, you got time to do other things. Time is we all have the same amount of time, you know. But I just think it's important to slow down. And I think that's one of the things. If you want to look to the future, you've got to slow down today and really take the time to do that. You know, what is important, it really is a values decision.
I thought of one more thing to add in that could be helpful. After you set your vision or set some of these goals, whether it's 90-day goal, a year goal or whatnot, you might also ask yourself, what blocks do I have to this? What struggles? What's the challenge here? So that you can kind of flush it out. And then you can create some assets that can counter those blocks. Like, oh, this scares me. Okay, what can I do with the fear? So if you can flag either the emotions with this, or you can flag the pitfalls in advance. So kind of like, what walls might I hit in this process? If you think it through now, then that might help you as you're advancing towards whatever those goals or vision is. So,
and then
being upfront and being honest with yourself is great.
And then you win or you learn, right?
Yes, exactly.
I love that phrase. So, so anyways, thank you both for coming today. I'm Jim Peacock, principal of Peak Careers Consulting. I've been teaching the facilitating career development class since 2001. And in 2010, I began developing these online discussion-based seminars. They're a little different than a lot of the online models that are out there. They're done with between 5 and 10 other career service providers, and they're discussion-based seminars. So we're learning from each other on a variety of different career topics. Back in the old days, I did face-to-face workshops and still plan to do some in the future. They're coming back. I also have individual career coaching clients. I'm author of the Field Guide for Career Practitioners. And actually, I can get rid of that coming soon. Actually, I did write my second book, The Adventure of Finding Me in New Zealand, which is really more of a story about a travel year I took after grad school and a near-death experience I had. The Field Guide is indeed a field guide for career practitioners. So I have both those books available. And if you are a career practitioner, a person who delivers career services, feel free to sign up for my top 10 tips for working with undecided persons. And you can receive my weekly career emails for career practitioners. And I'm on all of these different social media platforms, but LinkedIn is my go-to. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I appreciate that. Just always add a note so I know who you are and why you're trying to reach out to me. But thank you both for coming in today and talking about this important topic.
Thanks so much, Jim. It's such a delight to be here.
Thank you, Jim.